how to make a Scratch game on our Scratch app, which I already introduced or told you guys about. So very quickly, if you can see my screen now, you have different sprites. We have the banana, we have orange, and then we have the basketball. We also have the apple, and then we have a bowl. So I'm going to play this. Let me explain this quickly. The catch game works as this bowl here is going to be catching the fruit falling from the sky. How this, but some of these fruits carry different points, and then I have my score here where as many fruits that I catch, the score is recorded for me here. But there is also the tricky part of the game is that there are some fruits or some sprites that I'm not supposed to catch, and which is the basketball, and we have them up to 1, 2, 3, 4 of them here. So when the basketball touches, or if I catch the basketball, it reads minus, it reduces my score by 10. And then I have my fruit here, which is the banana, which has a different score. And I also have my orange fruit, 30 seconds. So let me give you a brief introduction on how the game works, and then we come back to it. So I've just started playing the game now. Okay, so if you're looking at my score, you will see, okay, yes, okay, so my time is reading, and then I'm trying to avoid the basketball, and then, okay, yes, okay, I have 10 more minutes to go. All right, and then my time is up. So for 30 seconds, which I played this game. So let's see what my score is. So I have my score at 13. In 30 seconds, I was able to score just 13 scores. So if you notice, the fruits had different scores. So at the end of this class, we'll see. I'm sure some of you are saying that you can do better than me. I'm sure you will have your time to prove yourself if that is true. So let's return back to our code area and start a new game. Okay, so this is how your screen should look like right now. First, I'd like to introduce you all to this. This is our code area. This is our code block, lifting from here and dropping our code here. And then this is our sprite area where we are going to have our sprite, whatever we are doing, how it's going to move. Like I said, again, this is our code area. And then this is our block called block area. And then here is our sprite where we have our young sprites. The cat here. So this is where whatever we are doing with our blocks, we are going to be seeing the results here almost immediately. Today, we are focusing on catching our sprite. So if I wanted my sprite, this cat, to move forward, I'll come here and go to motion, and then I'll say I drag our change X by 10 block. And then when I click this, you notice the card is moving forward, right? So if I wanted this card to go backwards, I'll just have to change this. I don't know if anyone can guess what I have to do, but if you guess that subtract or minus 10, then you're absolutely right. So to return or make the sprite go backwards, I simply change it by minus 10. Once again, if I want the sprite to go forward, I simply make it 10, and then the sprite starts moving forward. Remember, I said we are using a bowl to catch our fruits. So this is just an example of what we are making today. So let's delete this since we don't need this guy. So what did I say we are making again? I said we are using the bow. So let's start from choosing our bow as our first sprite and make it move left and right. Yes, we have our bow here. Yes, and then next is to select our backdrop. A backdrop is the background, what you want to be at the back as your wallpaper, more like a wallpaper. Those of you who are familiar, I'm sure everyone here understand what wallpaper is. So our backdrop serves as our wallpaper. In Scratch, we don't call it wallpaper, we call it backdrop. So I'm going to be choosing a backdrop that is an outdoor. Okay, so I'll use the boardwalk. Yes, here we have, this is I've chosen my backdrop as the boardwalk, and then my bowl is my first sprite. I'll place it here. And then the goal here is to make the sprite, the bowl, move left and right. So we'll start by changing, like the one I use, block I used initially for our cat sprite, which I deleted. We start our block by making the change X by 10. So when I click this, it should be going forward. It's moving to the right. And if I change it to left, if I want it to come back, you already know what you are thinking. So without wasting any time, so I will simply just say, now let's come to our control, and then I say if then. I want to add my if then and bring out if then. But also, you notice that I'm using my mouse. I have to click here, but I also don't want to use my mouse. What I want to use is to be able to use my keypad to play this game. For those who might not be catching up, I got my change by X by picking this from the motion block area, which is, we find it here. Change by X is in our motion code area, and then I brought this out. And then I went to control and brought out if then block. But I say why did I bring out the if then block is because I do not want to keep clicking on the change by X code block for the bow to move. I want to customize it so that I'm able to use my keypad, to use my left and right keypad on my keyboard to move the bow. So what do? I start by, okay, let me return this. I get the if then from our control block, control, and then you see our if then block. So, and then if this block, what this block works is, how it works is, if there's anything in this circle here, this block space here, you are going to see how I will put that by saying sensing. Let's go to sensing. So if you are here already, it's the key space. So when you haven't dropped this in the if then block, you press here, the space, it gives you an option where you can use your keypad. You can see up arrow, down arrow, right arrow, left arrow, any at all. We can customize it to our A keypad, you can customize it to our B key, and then what it means is that whatever arrow you choose here, when that is clicked, your sprite gets to move either up, down, right, or backwards. So we want our bow to move to the right. So we say when the right keypad is pressed, so I'll put this inside here. So I'll say when the right arrow is pressed, move, my sprite goes to the right. So let's return back to events. So we say event when green flag is clicked. So it means whenever the green flag is clicked, when I click the green flag, it is asking which arrow, where should it go? Should it go to the right or should it go to the left? So, but I click this once, it has moved only but once, but it also needs me to confirm that, is it just once? Why does it have to go just once? Remember, and then I have to ask it to not just move only once, but I want it to continually move. So what do? I come to control and then get my loop, which is I'll be using the forever loop, and then I add the forever loop here. So now you see that it's moving more than once, unlike before when it was just moving once. So this can go on forever. So now I want it to move backwards. It has moved to the right. Now I want it to move to the left. There's no need to drag this. What do? I just have to repeat this same code here and then add it here. Remember, I use right arrow, it's going to the right now, and then change X by 10. And all I have to do to make this go to the left side, I just have to repeat this, changing from right arrow, I change to left arrow. And then from change X by 10, I change it to change X by minus 10. So let's quickly do that. That's with if then. I get my if then out, and then I go back to motion, and then I say change X by 10. I bring this out. I change it to minus 10. Okay. Now to get our key pressed block, we go back to our sensing block area. So we'll go back to sensing. And then we say when key is pressed, add this here, and then we change it. The first one was right arrow. So what are we adding this time? Don't forget, we want it to go to the left side. So we simply change it to left side. So it is left arrow, not right arrow this time. So we add this. When you do this, let's add it and see how it's going to work. Okay, now I've added my left arrow and right arrow. So I want to see if the code works. So I want to bring it back. Yes, you can see my bow is moving left and it's also moving right. So I hope you all have gotten this part. Yes, you see, I'm going left, and now I'm going to the right-hand side. And mine is still moving left and right. So please, let's continue from where we stopped. I'm sure we all have added our Apple sprite and also reduced the size to 80. Okay, so we have our green, when green flag is clicked, we'll drag this out and put it out here so we can start. So let's start now. Back to motion. We want our Apple to start. When it starts, we want it to go to a random position. So we drag that. So in our motion, you see go to random position. We drag this out and add. Okay, random. When green flag is clicked, go to random position. Okay, so if you've added this, like I said, the goal is for the apple to fall from up to down, I want it to fall in different direction. So I want the apple to fall from here and from here. So it's going to come out from different direction. So remember when we're coding for the bow, we're coding to make the bow go left and right. In sprites, movement of left and right, which is sideways, it is by called the X movement. It moves by X. If you look at the screen here, you will see a X coordinates here, and then you have the Y. You see that the Y arrow is showing up and down, and X is showing left and right. So we use the X, move X or change X if you want to go sideways. So in opposite to change X, if you want our apple to fall from up to down, we have here our coordinate as the Y. So with the last time we use change X by 10 to move our bow sideways. So now we are going to use change Y to have our fruits come up from down way. But if you notice, there is also number coordinates written here. So from here to here, there are certain degrees. So if I click this, it's in 10 now. Let me show you. You see, I will have, if I click here by 10, I will have my apple fall to a certain level here. This is where the apple is going to fall from. It's going to start falling from. And then if I change it to 0, let me change this to 0 and click it to fall somewhere around here. But my goal is, this is where the apple is going to start from. The apple is going to start from, but I want the apple to fall way on top. So I'll change this to 180. Let's see where our apple is going to fall from. Exactly. So this is 180. I think this is fine. So I want my apple to, when my green flag is clicked, I want my apple to be at this position. So you see, yes, you can see now that I'm clicking the green flag, it's changing position, not lower than this. I don't want it to come down lower than this. I want it to position in this position, in this degree here, 180. So whenever my game starts, I want it to start from 180. Okay, now
Mr. Julius actually stopped at where he was trying to explain to us how the ball will fall from the top to the bottom, and our goal is to catch the apple with the ball. So that's the goal of the game, to catch the apple with the ball. And we actually stopped at where we want the apple to go to random position, and also it should fall from the top from, let's say, 180, because this axis here from the top down is on the y-axis, and you notice we use X for the bow because we want it to move from left to right. So that is why we use X for the bow. But for the apple, we're not going to be using X, we're going to be using Y, because for any object falling from the top to the bottom or moving from the top to the bottom is always on the Y axis. And if you want to move from left to right is what X axis. So let us try and see what this is going to do. I'm going to click on the green flag, and you notice that it keeps moving just at different positions. So the next thing we're going to do now is we want it to fall downwards. So we want it to fall downwards, and watch what I'm going to do next. I'm going to drag the forever block, just like what we usually do. I'll go to Control and click on the forever. So I drag the forever there, and I place my forever. Then the next thing, I'm going to go to change my Y. I'm going to add another block in motion, which says change Y. Scroll down. This is not what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the Y. Yes, you can see Y now. So change Y by 10, but I'm not going to use 10. I'm going to use -5. So once I try this now, let's press on the green flag. Can you see that it's falling downwards now? Can you see it's falling downwards? And it just stopped. And the next thing I want it to do is I want it to continue to fall in that same direction. So I'm going to put in an if statement because whenever it gets to this bottom here, I want it to what? Fall continuously. I don't want it to just get stuck like what you can see over here. I'm going to go to my control and I'm going to click the if button. It's a condition statement. I'm going to place it under this here. And the next thing, because I want to use the greater than or the less than sign, because when this falls, I believe you can see the position here. It is your y is minus 187. But I want it to get to minus 170. So when it gets to minus 170, it should go back to the top and keep falling. So I can use my bow to catch. So I've dragged my if here, then I go to my operators. And this operator is just like the mathematics block that uses the add, the subtract, the multiply, and the divide. So I'm going to be dragging the less than. I believe you can see my screen. So I'm going to be dragging the less than, and I'm going to be putting it here. And I also want what to be my less than, my Y position for the bow, for the apple. So I'm going to click on motion and scroll down to Y position. So that means the Y position of my apple should be what? Less than what now? Now this is it here at minus 187, but I want it to be at minus 170. So let's see where minus 170 is. So when my apple gets to this position, I want it to what? Fall again from the top. So I'm going to put minus 170 here, minus 170. So once I do that, what do I want it to do? I want it to go back to a random position and fall at what? 180, that's from the top. So I'm going to go back and say, go to random position, the first one here, place it inside of this. Then the second one, set Y to what? 180. Now, not minus, it's going to be at 180. So it keeps falling from the top, 180. So once I do that, I click on the green flag and let's see what happens. So you see it falls, and when it gets to the top, it falls and starts again from a random position. Now let's see if my apple. Now see, my apple is not doing anything. So, but the goal of this game is what? To catch this apple. But right now you can see that it's just going through and it is not catching the apple. So the next thing we're going to do now is to make a code for this to touch, to catch the apple and add a sound just like what Mr. Julius did in the previous presentation. So I'm going to stop here and I'm also going to add a different block of code which will enable us to catch the apple. I'm going to drag another block of code because the Scratch application is a block-based programming. So I'm going to start by clicking on my events, and I'm going to bring in another when green flag. Now remember that I am still on the Apple sprite. Now the one Mr. Julius did initially was for the bow sprite. This is the code for the bow sprite. And the bow sprite is for me to move my bow from left to right. This is the Apple sprite, and this is the bow sprite. So I'm going back to the Apple sprite because we are working on the apple here. Whenever the apple touches the bowl, I want it to go back to the top of the screen and fall again. And I also want us to hear a chop sound. So that is what we are going to be doing now. So I already dragged the green flag. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring an if statement. Yes, if statement here and place it here. Then the next thing I want, whenever it is touching the bone, so we're going to be working with sensing, and I'm going to drag touching. Now remember the bow, we used the right arrow key pressed under sensing, but now for the apple, when touching, so I'm going to drag this and place it here, but it's going to be when touching. Let me reduce the screen. Okay, perfect. Now when touching what? Is it when the apple touching the mouse pointer or when the apple touching what? The bone. So when the apple is touching the bowl, I want it to make a chop sound. So now let us go to sound, and you're going to hear the chop sound. So I'm going to start the collect. Okay, this is collect sound. I'll click on motion, and I'm going to go to random position and place it inside this over here. So it means when it touches it, it goes back to random position. And remember, I always wanted to start my Y at 180. So that means it will go to the random position, but it should start from the top. So that is what my 180 means. My 180 means it's starting from the top. The next thing we're going to do now is to drag a forever block so that this can continue forever. And I'm going to place it here. Let's see how the game should look like. So starting. So can you hear the collect now? Oh, perfect. It's collecting the apple. And the apple is not getting to the floor again, just like this, you see? So that shows that I didn't collect that. I collected this. Now, if you want to make the apple fall faster, very simple. You change -5 to, let's say, -9. So can you change it and let's see what happens? Change -5 to -9. I'm going to stop mine, and I want it to fall very fast. I'm going to change it to -9, and let's see what happens. So you can see it's falling very fast now, and I'm collecting lots of apples. Oh, perfect. So this is one thing that we're going to do. And we're going to be working with score also. So you can see this. Whenever you want to drag and drop any code on any sprite, you must select the sprite. That's the one below over here where you can see my pointer. So you must select it. So if I want to click on the apple, I click on the apple and I drag and drop my codes here. Can you add another fruit? Because I believe Mr. Julius made us add another fruit. And now the fruit that I want you to add is the banana. So for you to do that, just click on this icon here that says choose a sprite. Then the next thing, this is a banana. You click on the banana. I want you to add banana to your sprite, to your game. And very simple, instead of you dragging and dropping all of the codes again, all you just do is come to your apple here because it's the same code that should also apply on this banana sprite. And also, I would like you to reduce the size of your sprite. Come over here, reduce it to 70 so your bow can actually collect the sprite or the apple or the banana. So you can reduce your apple, come over here, reduce it to 70, then come to your banana, reduce it to 70, and you can also make your bow bigger. In case you don't want to reduce it, I can make my bow 110 by size. Yes, so you can see it's a bit bigger. So the next thing like I said, instead of you dragging and dropping all of the codes again, all you can do is come over to this part here and drag this from here down. Can you see what I'm doing? Down towards the banana. You notice that the banana actually moved a bit. Let me show you again. This is the banana here. There is nothing here. This is the apple here. Now I want you to drag this code from here down to the banana, and you leave it. Once you leave it, now click on the banana. Let's see if the code is over there. So wow, you can see the code. The code is over here too. So we are dragging the second one too. We're going to drag the second one too. So you come over here, just like what we did for the first one. You drag this down to this part and you leave it. Then let's check. And you're going to see both of them there. So you can separate them and let them be this way. If you know you have done this, now test your game and let's see if you can catch both the banana and the apple. So with this, we are also going to do something. We're going to work with score, and we're going to be adding a new score to this. Now you can also change the sound of the banana. I want you to reduce the speed of the banana and let the apple fall faster. I want you to do that quickly. How do you increase the speed? Change y by -6. So -6 is the speed. You're trying to tell it to fall faster. So if you want it to fall faster, you reduce it more by saying you write -9 or -10. But if you want it to fall very slow, you can make it -1 or -2. So that's how you reduce or you increase the speed. Like I said, we've worked with the apple and the bowl and the banana too. I also want us to change the sound of the banana. Okay, I'm going to use bites. So now let's play and let's see what happens when it falls. And I'm going to change the speed. The speed for my banana should be -9. Okay, no, I want it to fall slower. Let's say -3. Then the apple should fall faster. -9. Okay, so now that's it. So I'm going to start. You can see. Okay, so you can see. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we need to give it a score. And for us to make a score, I believe you all can see that all of these block of functions here, or these colors here, there's nothing called score here. So we need to create a container, which is called a variable, to hold our score. So I'm going to come over to where you see variable, because variable means a placeholder. Variable is called a placeholder to hold things. So like my name is Mr. Steven. Mr. Steven is just a placeholder holding all of the attributes, holding everything about me and the likes. I'm an instructor. Mr. Steve is an instructor. So when you have to call the instructor that looks like me, you need to call Mr. Steven. So I need to create a variable called score. So you can actually name it whatever you want. But for me, I'm going to call mine score. And I'm going to start now. When you click on variable, you come over here and click on make a variable. And from here, I'm going to write score. So you can write it, you can give it whatever name you want and let it be for all sprites. Then once you click for all sprite, the next thing you click on OK. Once you click on OK, you notice immediately that a score appear at the top here having 0. Then after that, you notice that we also have set variable to 0, change variable by 1, and also show variable my variable and the like. So over here is holding all the kind of blocks that we are going to use for our score. So the next thing we are going to do now is we are going to drag our set my variable to the top over here. And I'm going to change my variable to what? Score. I believe you can see that. So I'm going to name it score. So now we're working on the score block here, and we already drag and drop our set score to 0 under when green flag click. That means whenever I press the green flag, my score automatically goes towards 0. That is what this block of code means. Now the next thing is I want to change my score by 1 whenever I catch the apple. That is, whenever touching the ball, I want to change my score by 1. So this is what it means. So if touching the ball, that is, if this apple here touches the ball, change my score by 1. Now I believe you can see that. So change score by 1 when the ball touches the apple. Now I also want you to do the same over here in the banana. So over here in the banana, you don't need to drag set score to 0 again. All you need to do is come over to the banana and just drag change my variable by 1. Now, if you don't do this, let me show you what it means. If you don't do this, it means that when you touch the apple alone, now let's try. But you see that the banana, no, this score is actually not going to change because I did not add it there. But once you touch the apple, only the apple, the score increases. So for me to make the banana also have the same score, or to make the score count whenever I touch the banana, you also need to change my score by 1. So let's put score by 1. But now, because the banana is actually a bigger fruit than the apple, I want my score to be 3. So whenever you touch the banana, you should get a 3 score. But whenever you touch the apple, you get a 1 score. So that is just it here. So now let's try our game and let's see what happens. 1. Now you can see once I touch the banana, the score goes higher. So I think my apple is falling so fast. I need to reduce the speed of my apple. So I'm going to reduce the speed of my apple by 7. I would like this to be like an assignment, or like, yes, a project, a practical for us. Now I've added, this is the code for the bowl, and we started by making the apple, and this is also the code for the apple, and we added a different fruit to it, which is the banana. Now the assignment is this: once you catch the apple, you get a score. Okay, this is the bowl, and this is my apple. Now, once I catch the apple with the ball, I get a positive score, which is 1. Now, when I catch the banana, I get a positive score, which is what? 3. And the speed of the apple is what? -7, which what moves faster. And the speed of the banana is -3, which moves not as fast as the apple. So I would like us to do this. I would like us to add, for the assignment, I would like us to add a new sprite. And that sprite should be, now we also have the bee. This is a beetle. Now, if you catch the beetle into your bowl, what happens? It destroys your fruit. So you can actually add the beetle, or you can add, what else can we add? Or we can add a butterfly, because these are actually insects that eat fruit. We're going to add the beetle. Now you can see the beetle. This is the beetle. And I'm going to add the same code. Now I've added the beetle, so I believe you can see, and I want to make the beetle smaller. So the beetle is 50. Yes, perfect. So this is my beetle, and the beetle is 50. Now the next thing we're going to do, because it is the same code that applies to the apple and the banana, that is what you're also going to use. But instead of you saying +1, you're going to say minus. Do you understand me, everyone? So in your own code, now the apple is having +1, that is change score by 1. Then the banana is also saying change score by 3. But for the beetle, we're not going to say 3 or 1. We're going to say minus whatever number you want. And now the beetle should fall down this way. So I'm going to just do it for you guys so we can see the code. Now I've added this block of code to my beetle. Now, if I play this game, you can see that the beetle is also falling. I can see that the beetle is also falling. But now I don't want it to be an addition. So what are we going to do? I'm going to make it minus here for the beetle. Click on the beetle and make it minus, because whenever the beetle touches your fruit, it destroys the fruit. So let's say -5. So, and I want it to keep falling continuously because we have lots of insects in our area. So I'm going to say -7. so the beetle falls very well, and you have to learn to what avoid the beetle. So next week you can see the beetle falling randomly. So if you mistakenly touch the beetle, you can see I have a minus sign. So this is your assignment. So if you mistakenly touch the beetle, you can see your minus, your score is now minus. You must try to avoid the beetle because once you touch the beetle, your score is going to what? Go off. It's going to go down. So that's what we're going to stop for today. And I'm going to delete the beetle here. So we've worked with the bowl, the apple, and the banana. So the next thing I'll show you all is how to save. For those of us that are just joining and you want to know how to save your code, it's very simple. You click on the file and you can see save to your computer. I believe you can see that. So once I click on save to the computer, it brings up a dialog box showing you where you want to save. So I'll advise you click on the desktop. When you click on the desktop, then you give it a name, catch game. Mine is catch game, or let's go to documents and you can save it inside. You can create a folder, but always save it on the desktop so you don't need to look for it. Then you give it a name, catch game or the likes. Then when you click on save, the name shows here and you can also see it on the desktop when you shut down or you close this. So, like I said, we're going to end here today, and I believe you all enjoyed yourself, and I believe you learned something today.